You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back on the podcast. We're talking to Hollywood Lian calling in. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
It is hot as hell in the city. I have absolutely had it. I've got these gigantic headphones on, sweating up a storm, but I'm here to deliver the Hollywood talk. Let's do it. Let's get into it. How are you dealing with all this heat, by the way? I need to talk to somebody about it because I feel like I'm drowning.
It's been terrible. This heat wave in California. We got the fires going up north. Pray for us, please. And then, my air conditioner broke a couple weeks ago, and it was terrible.
Oh, how did you sleep?
I basically didn't for 2 days, but I'm here, and I have some air now. It's fine, but...
I forget about the fires. I actually couldn't believe it. I woke up to a text message from an aunt asking me if I was near them. I couldn't believe I actually heard from somebody in my family. I was shocked. I don't hear from anybody. I was like, wow, no, for once this disaster is not near me. But, thankfully, we're not.
Yeah, it's been insane. The heat wave is, it's terrible. But we're just trying to get through it. There's a lot of other problems we need to be focusing on as well. But it is hot, let me tell you.
Yeah, it is hot. I'm ready to jump in the pool. And even I don't know if that's going to do anything. But let's talk about Paris Hilton. There's a new YouTube documentary coming out. It's called This Is Paris. And this is supposed to be the real her. This is the angle. Now, at first, when I heard she was putting out a documentary, I was like, yeah, but we kind of did this. Like, I feel like we've heard her speak about, her international brand. She was on that Netflix documentary about a year ago. Like, she has the YouTube channel, about the sliving. And we know all about it. So I was like, I don't know if I need to see this, but I watched the trailer and I'm actually interested. I'm going to watch.
You said so much with the Netflix thing because I feel like with the Netflix documentary, I forgot what it's called. I don't know if you remember what it's called, but it wasn't just about Paris.
Right.
It had to do with
the name of it.
It had to do with like all the little influencers that came up, like the Vine people, the YouTubers, but it was mostly about Paris Hilton.
The American Meme. That was the name of the documentary.
The American Meme. Like Fat Jewish was saying,
I can't stand that guy. I hate the fat Jewish. Go ahead. What did he say?
No, but he said something that was completely true. And he said, basically, Paris Hilton started social media. And I completely agree with it. Like, if it wasn't for her, I don't think that we would be as invested in the celebrity following and citing if it wasn't for her. I feel like she just paved the way for people like Kim Kardashian to become these social media moguls. I just feel like people became obsessed with fame, and she was the face of that for a really long time. And now we've expanded and we've gone into all sorts of areas. But I feel like if we go back to the beginning, if we go back to the paparazzi chasing days of the Lohans, the Spears, and the Britneys, and the Parises, Paris was the face of being famous. So that documentary on Netflix showed her vulnerable side and said, look, I'm a real person. And
famous for being famous.
Yeah. And she's doing that in this documentary. So I kind of disagree. And I'm going back to what you said. I feel like we've already seen this. It better be like a way different angle. I want to see something way different. She's talked about changing her voice already before. She's talked about playing a character. So is it the same thing, Grant? What was different about this trailer?
To me, it was a little more stripped down, that she's revealing now that she was mentally, emotionally, and physically abused at boarding school. This is something new. I guess this is probably the hook. They do tease like this. It's something I've never, ever spoken about. But will people feel bad for her? We're in a different age now where in the past she'd be laughed at for something like this. But now, no one has any tolerance for injustice or abuse or emotional distress. So, I mean, I don't know how this will be received. I don't know if people are going to fault her for why you bring this up when there's so much pain in the world. It's like, okay, you went away to a boarding school for 11 months. I mean, it sounds terrible. She details being screamed at, torture, physically being abused, hitting, strangling, restraints, forced fed medication.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a different side to her.
That sounds terrible. That really does.
But I mean, she was there because she was rebellious. She lived in the Waldorf Astoria with her parents as a multimillionaire growing up. And she went out into clubs. And so they didn't know what to do with her. So they put her in this facility in Utah. So it still is first world problems. But I mean, it's not pleasant. I wouldn't want to be in that position.
Yeah, but you're right. It is first world problems. I was just going to say, and I kind of felt bad about even going that route, but I wanted to say, like, isn't this kind of normal in that kind of high? I won't even bring up race. I'll just leave it to like high society people with a lot of money. Like, don't they send their kids to boarding school? Is that shitty of me to say? But
I mean, you know, this sounds like a reform school to me. I mean, I don't know. They said that she claims she was kept from speaking to her parents about it, that they would rip up letters she was trying to communicate to get out of there. I mean, this to me reminds me of a Scientology story from when people would go into those like Narcanon. Have you heard of that?
Oh my God. Yes. Now you're scaring me. You know how I feel about that. Those people really scare me.
Yeah. So that channel's, that for me personally, I don't know for sure. I've never been to this facility, but you know, I don't know.
Well, she does have a lot of money, and Scientology does have the reputation to basically hide Scientology in the form of rehab programs all over the country. They even changed the names, like Grant said, Narcon or whatever.
Narcanon. They have many different names for different programs and different charitable work that they do. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Maybe she ended up in one of those subdivisions that was like a whole different name, and we just hadn't heard about that one yet.
Maybe. She did release the name of it. I'll have to do some Googling. But I mean, that would be like headline news, like Paris Hilton abused at Scientology Center. Like if it was true, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I'm going to look at this documentary. I've got two friends that are interested in watching it, and we're probably going to do like a little Zoom happy hour afterwards to discuss it. I mean, and I'm desperate. I'll do it. I'll watch it. But what I was thinking of with this, just in regards to Paris and the emotional distress she went through at this facility, while it was only 11 months, I have to imagine that was triggering for her when she went to jail, because what's the difference? She talked about having to go into like there was solitary confinement practices and things. So, you know, when she went to prison, she was still in her early 20s. So it had to be triggering.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, going away like that in general and being yanked of your normal life, it's probably traumatizing whether you're rich or not. It probably sucked for her.
Yeah.
But she probably needed it. I really, now I'm kind of invested, and I do want to hear about what she's talking about here.
Yeah, well, if you want to watch, it's called This Is Paris, September 14th on Paris's YouTube channel. So there you go. Coming soon to a tablet near you. YouTube, another YouTube feed. Let's talk about ABC's The View. Man, this show just continues to spiral down in my view. I just when you think it couldn't reach any lower. We're in the middle of an election year. Meghan McCain is going away, the only alternative voice on The View. Whether you love her or hate her, at least she has a different point of view. She's going away coming up on maternity leave. And so this is an opportunity for them to bring somebody in to really be engaging, to present the other side, to at least have a good counter argument with the others who are all on the same page. Someone who may ask someone like a Kamala Harris an uncomfortable question, and they're not doing it. They're not going to do it. They're recycling Sarah Haynes because her contract is over with that nursing home show, Strahan, Kiki, Sarah, whatever. It never got to never happened. So now we're having to look at Sarah Haynes again. I really think that no one asked for this. She's not one of the favorites. She's not someone that, you know, is super polarizing. You know, this is a total missed opportunity, in my opinion.
It's a safe decision. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably financially as well. I imagine Sarah, no offense to her, who I actually don't mind. She just doesn't belong on the show. She probably comes cheap, right? I mean, I don't know. She's got to come cheaper than most.
Well, here's the thing with Sarah. I have to admit, I just never watched when she was on like that. The View has always been like a very much... I can't watch it that long. Like the bickering and it's worse than Housewives to me. It's like how people feel about Housewives in general is like how I feel about The View. It's just, I can't. I feel like if you haven't watched from the beginning, then it's not something you can just watch all the time. So I didn't watch with Sarah, but I did like play like her best YouTube moments. And like, it seemed like she was pretty fun. She never said anything
yeah.
like completely life-changing and like world-splitting or something, but she seemed like she had a good rapport with Whoopi. So I don't know. It seemed like a safe decision.
I like her personality. I like her personality, but my thing is she's not political. She's not very deep. She's just when she
surface. She's very surface, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and when she is political, it's the same exact voice as like the others at the table. So I mean, if this is just going to be like the next like 4 months or however many horrendous days we have until this election, I mean, if it's just going to be them just celebrating every single thing and not having real discussions, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't want to see that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, how many people have gone through The View? Like, it's been a revolving door.
Dozens, yes. 23 years or 23 or 25. I should know this off the top of my head, but many seasons. I don't think anyone's going to care about this. I like how it really did not do anything to the internet at all, because it's not going to move the needle. I mean, maybe they're happy with the ratings, but I think with the show, if you were to Wikipedia the concept of The View, it's to have different opinions and different women of different backgrounds, and I'm just not seeing much with regards to politics right now. It's all the same note. This is an election year. This is a major opportunity. This is not only an opportunity, but this should be an easy ratings grab and ratings win for them, and they should be able to really just take a chance. Now's the time to take a chance, because you're going to do well, right? So yeah, I don't know if you.
I actually think you're right. It is a very important year. We are in an election year. So maybe we do need someone that's going to give us something to talk about. We do need all those different opinions. We all feel, a certain way towards Meghan McCain, but at least she has a point of view.
Yeah. All I can say is I was talking with a friend and I was like, whatever the wrong decision is, they're going to do. And then immediately following that, the next day, Sarah Haynes rejoins The View. So there you go. Continuing to disappoint. What else can I say is I'm looking at this now, like they do talk very similarly on The View, but a lot of the same things. And what is going to happen in a post-Trump era? Because or post-Trump era, I should say. What are they going to discuss? Because I don't see anyone being critical of anyone that is not part of the Trump administration. So I just wonder, beyond The View, looking at cable news in general, where do we go? I mean, the narrative has just been Trump is bad for so long. And, are they going to be critical of the new administration? I just don't know where shows like The View and all these roundtables go. So it's a general Hollywood talk thought.
Well, I think we just keep on rolling and keep on adapting. There's always going to be something to talk about. There's always going to be someone to hate. There's always going to be someone to love. But I just feel like we've been so invested lately because it's really affected our lives. I feel like this is the time to be the most vocal. This is the time to be the most involved. So I think it's going to keep on trucking, Grant. There's plenty of stuff to continue to focus on politically. Because I think people are starting to realize, I think the younger people as well, this stuff really does affect you. For the longest time, we all kind of lived like little pawns and didn't really focus on what was happening in the White House. But I feel like this day and age, it's very important to be up to date and to know what's happening and to know that these decisions affect you and your family and your future generation. So I think there's going to be something to talk about regardless.
Yeah, sure. I don't think things are going to go back to like what you were saying. I agree with you. We can't go back. You can't put us back in the box. Our eyes are open. So it'll be interesting to see. I just hope that good, well-rounded discussions can happen, regarding whether who's in positions of power, because it is serious and we all are here now and our eyes are open. So let's keep the engagement alive and let's not all go back to brunch, as they say, once or if things change with the election. So anyway, that's my final thought on that.
I do miss brunch though.
Yeah, I know. I miss a good mimosa that I can see through.
I know. I can't wait for us to sit at a bar again, I miss life.
Who misses life is Britney Spears.
Oh, poor baby. Let's talk about her.
I don't have too much to say. I know people like to get a little bit of an update. I mean, the Free Britney movement has received a lot more attention, which is good. The ACLU made a tweet. Her former makeup artist made an appearance at a recent small-ish protest / rally / whatever you want to call it, sit in, I guess, outside the courthouse in downtown LA this week. And I know you talked about this on your podcast, but former Britney husband of 55 Hours, Jason Alexander, made an appearance. And I thought this was actually like a pretty big deal. I don't know, though. You might not agree with me.
Big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal. And I'm glad that he came to support the movement. Like, we could look at it, all the positive things. I just didn't like the way he spoke when he spoke to TMZ. I feel like it was very thirsty. It was very opportunistic. And I don't think it was factual. I don't think he's in touch with Britney's army. I don't think he's in touch with Britney. He made it seem like they're talking about rekindling their, like, what? Like, stop it. Like, she has a hot boyfriend. Definitely she's in trouble. There's definitely something going on. Like, there's something here to talk about. There's something here to examine. She has made claims recently and been very adamant that she does not want her father to be in charge of her finances. She wants a specific person, someone named Jody Montgomery that has been working with her for a couple of years. Yeah. She wants change. So there is something there, but I just don't like the way he came out of the woodwork for it. I'm very cautious because she's had a lot of bad people in her life that this is what it's led to. So I'm just like, what are you really here for?
Right. I thought,
shouldn't we have more questions about him?
I mean, I viewed it like, wow, okay, finally there's like a face that's showing up that was been part of her life. When I saw both him and the makeup artist, I said, okay, these are people who were like, I mean, he wasn't ever in her camp, but I mean, I don't know. It was just like, finally, like, we see someone show their support when so many people have been quiet. I've been following this now for almost 2 years. And the fact that he claims he's an advocate and all this, I mean, where have you been? There's been hundreds of hours of podcasts about this, articles. The hashtag has been trending like every other month for almost 2 years. So, like, where have you been if you're that much of an advocate of hers? And, you know, he claims that he's back in touch with her and they text the night before. I mean, I feel like Britney is almost impossible to get in touch with because she's not in the world.
Exactly.
How would he even get her number? Maybe through Lynn? I mean, at most?
No. That's such a lie. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
He claims that he supports the movement. She supports the movement. He thinks that she's a prisoner. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. And, you know, like you mentioned, she wants her father to be out as conservator. And so start there. So to get rid of him as the conservator, I think she's got some decent representation, though, because they're breaking it down. I followed this pretty closely. They're breaking it down to like these 3 phases. And I want to call them out right here. They said the first phase was a triage that supported Britney from a period of dramatic public collapse in 2008. The second was a comeback that saw her establish herself as a successful performer with a string of residencies in Vegas. And the third phase must begin now. They're claiming that she's making significant current lifestyle changes. And that's why they need to reevaluate the conservatorship. She doesn't want to perform anymore, so she doesn't have that much money coming in. So they don't need to have the father in charge of her estate the way that it currently is set up. So I see what he's doing. And this could all lead to a path where eventually she emancipates herself. But I think she's got decent representation. So I'm watching closely.
And I'm optimistic. And to give you guys a little bit of balance, like, let's look at the positive. He's shining more light to the cause, and, you know, it could only lead to better things. So I don't want to sound like a complete terrible person, but I'm just very, very cautious when it comes to Britney. I think Grant and I both really love her as a person, and we just want the best for her. And I just don't like how he came in so hot. I don't believe that he's talking to her. I don't believe that he's...
Oh, Jason.
Yeah,
first husband.
Yeah, I don't believe Jason is speaking to Britney like he said, and that they're talking about, you know, rekindling and just like stuff that just was like, no. Britney
they're not going to let him. They're not going to let him anywhere near that house. There's no way.
Like, do you know how many people you would have to go through to even get some sort of meeting with Britney? It's just...
You can't get a hold of her. Yeah. And not only that, but like, even if he came over to visit her, like, she's in one of those gated communities where there's like 3 gates before you get to the house. Like, she's so protected. It's sad in a way. I mean, she's like, you know, held up prisoner because of that security, but that's how they want her. And I just now I wonder, and we look at the Instagram, and even if the conservatorship is lifted, because of the damage it's done, I just don't know how she would assimilate in the real world.
I know. Where do we go from here? I just want her to be able to drive her car to Starbucks. Like, I know it sounds so materialistic and stupid, but I mean, if we take it back to the other documentaries, like For the Record, like she cried so hard when they gave her permission to drive by herself. It was in an empty desert, but that was like
It's true.
Everything that she wanted. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Of course she has so many things that we don't. She's seen and experienced things that, you know, none of us have ever been in the position to experience. She's a pop star. She's a world-renowned, known celebrity. But at the same time, she's a human and she's a person. And I feel like that person is gone. I don't know what they did to her. I don't know what they've been giving her. It's so sad. And I just want Britney back. And, you know, we love Britney. Leave her alone.
Somebody help her first. Yeah, she can't be just cut free. So she's gonna need some help to be able to figure out the world around her, because it's a lot. And I mean, you know, I don't blame her for any of it. But as far as what a terrible set of cards she's been dealt in the last like 10, 12 years, just horrible. But there'll be no changes made to the conservatorship until they have to file more paperwork and more legalities until February of 2021. So don't hold your breath. Here we go again. We'll see. We'll have to watch what happens. So there we go.
Poor Britney.
Yeah.
I hope it works out for her.
I'm optimistic, but I mean, what is it going to take? Let's go, you know? So
yeah.
Anyway, before I let you go, please tell the listeners about your new show. I've been on the show. I hope you had a chance to listen to the episode. But if not, here's what you can expect.
Yes, it's called Everyone is Terrible. And we just give you the most terrible for the week, from reality TV people to real people, you know, whatever you're watching. The show is yours. You know, you can DM me, you can nominate who you feel is most terrible for the week. You know, we've had Malia from Below Deck for ratting out Hannah. You know, we've had Lisa Rinna for being a terrible friend. You know, we've just gone down the list. We've talked about selling Sunset, you know, but I really want to expand and talk about whatever you want. I'm into a lot of scripted shows these days. So, you know, I want to talk about who's terrible, and real people too, you know, whoever's in the headlines, whoever's in the news. We're keeping it up to date with whatever you guys want. Whoever's terrible, because at the end of the day, everyone is terrible. We've all had our days, and we have to be held accountable. We have to just talk about it, you know, and it comes from, you know, reality TV commentators most terrible, Hollywood Lian. That's me. So check out my Instagram, all things Hollywood Lian. If you want to follow the Instagram for the podcast, it's Everyone is Terrible Pod. So, Grant, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and ranting with us. I love you guys for listening. The next episode will be our 5-year mark of the show. Oh my God.
Congratulations. Wow. 5 years. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm still here doing this. So that's a good thing, right? So we're going to hear from different people. I have a little bit of a special episode planned. I'm doing a lot of different projects right now, but it will be coming. I hope you're enjoying the roadie recap. If you're not, it's almost over, and then you won't have to ever hear from it again. My thanks to those who are leaving great reviews. And I love you guys for listening. My thanks to Hollywood Lian, and we'll be back with more rants.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.